Hey guys, this is Aegis, and this is sixjax.VIBE versus MGRedground. This is before sixjax actually disbanded. So at this point, VIBE was still on sixjax. Of course, VIBE and DDE have both joined its Gosu right now. And his opponent is going to be MGRedground from Mobility Gaming. This was sent to me by Mobility Gaming, so go ahead and check them out at mobility-gaming.com. MGRedground checking to make sure that this is the same VIBE and not a Smurf. Going to be throwing down his supply depot up at the front. This is Shakuras Plateau, so it's a very well-played map here. Both players have a pretty good experience with it. Awesome games in the NASL, of course. VIBE versus Sheth. Looks like VIBE is going to be building those drones up right now. We'll see if he decides to go for a gas pool build or if he decides to go pool, expand. There's several variations to this, but in the end you have to get a pool. It's just necessary if you want to play Zerg, unless you're a really bad bronze player. So we'll see what MGRedground here is trying to do. It looks like he will be skipping his gas. No gas as of yet. We'll be throwing up a supply depot up at the front to complete this wall in. He probably will be going for the fast expansion. A little bit of blocking here being done by the SCV. Going to be driving this drone insane. This sucks to be a Zerg player, not being able to throw down your expansion when you just need it. MGRedground doing a great job of harassing here and forcing VIBE to actually just throw down his spawning pool, not wanting his money to get too high. And it looks like MGRedground's SCV will soon be chased away. There's the hatch not going down. Since this SCV has actually got pretty good control here, we do have an Overlord checking things out. It sees no gas here. So it does know that MGRedground is going for something like a fast expansion, or maybe a 6 racks, 5-6 racks, but probably not. We'll probably be seeing that expansion command center real soon, as he is now up to almost 400 minerals. We do have the Zerg expansion finally started. We'll see when VIBE decides to grab his gas to begin some teching, possibly go for that Zergling speed. There's the expansion command center coming down. For MGRedground, he's going to need a bunker or two to defend, just in case of any sort of a Zergling try to run by. Of course, it's very easy to wall this ramp off. So there's a barracks coming down for MGRedground up at the front. The Overlord is scooting way off to the side just to check for that expansion and possibly to park over that third base to see exactly when MGRedground decides to take his third. And there's the first queen popping out and the gas coming up for sixjax.VIBE. Going to be sending that queen down to the natural expansion, and that expansion will be finishing up shortly. A second queen is on the way. Another barracks has been started by MGRedground. He's going to be very ground heavy in this game. A lot of Marines, probably some Marauders if VIBE decides to go for any sort of roaches. But we'll see what decides to happen here shortly. We do have a spine crawler on the way for VIBE, just in case of any sort of push out from MGRedground. However, he is throwing up that bunker, so it does indicate that MGRedground will not be ready for a push anytime soon. More Marines popping out of all three barracks. Probably will be looking to throw down a tech lab real soon. Looks like a couple of Marines did end up taking out an Overlord. Not too big of a deal for VIBE as of this point. 2 additional Overlords now on the way. Queen has come out just for the purpose of spreading creep. So this creep spread should be pretty good. In the future, we will be able to measure how good a Zerg player is by how much they spread their creep. Of course, creep is one of those great resources that you need all the time. Looks like the SCV will load into the bunker and kind of hang out there. He doesn't want to go to work. And we have a lot of Marines hanging out over here as well. VIBE is going for that Roach Warren right now, so we'll see if he decides to push out with a bunch of Roaches, or if this is just a sort of a defensive measure just in case of any Terran push out. Metabolic boost is halfway complete for our Zerg player, and Stim pack has been started for MGRedground. Lift, and it looks like a bunch of Marines will be trying to get some map control out there to see exactly what's going on. No gas at the natural expansion as of yet. Factory is about halfway complete. A lair has been started, and an Evo chamber now coming out here. Looks like a creep tumor is trying to spread the creep up onto the high ground. 6jax.VIBE spreading the creep outward as well. The Marines now arriving. We'll see how much damage they're able to do. There's not that much in terms of units from 6jax.VIBE. There's just a few Zerglings out in the field. There's one spine crawler, and MGRedground can actually come in here and just straight up kill Vibe. He's waiting for those 7 roaches. Looks like MGRedground will be backing up over here just to check this expansion, sending a single Marine up to this location as well. I feel like MGRedground could have pushed in there and done a ton of damage. Vibe was not ready for that at all. Finally, the roaches popping out, and the Terran army now retreating back to the base. More Marines popping out, and a starport has been started as well as the reactor, so we will be seeing those medevacs out real soon, so those drops will become trouble for Vibe, since his Spire is not near done at all. He's got more Zerglings on the way, more roaches popping out. Baneling's nest is also finishing up. Vibe is Vibe is up against a very Marine-heavy Terran army, so those Banelings will be able to do tons of damage. A reactor popping up over here, and another reactor, so that's going to be a ton of Marines. Sea Shanks will be on the way real soon. There is a single Overlord over here trying to check things out. A Speed Overlord will be trying to get over here. It looks like it will escape just barely. The Marines trying to get in there and trying to kill off that one Overlord. The medevacs have popped out, so they will be able to load up those Marines and do some dropping action. Vibe actually doesn't have any sort of vision over here, so the medevac will go unspotted, so his units won't be in position. They'll probably be sitting out here. Another factory has been started, as well as 2 additional barracks. We should probably be seeing MGRedground take his 3rd real soon, as Vibe has begun taking his 3rd. He's got a couple of units now scooting out about the map. The Marines do have Stimpack, and they are headed into the middle of the map. The Zerglings and the Banelings now crawling forward. The Stimpack going down, going to be microing back against everything. The Banelings getting taken out. It looks like all that's left are those roaches, but the Stimpack and the medevacs are going to be able to take a lot of those roaches out before they are able to return home. The Marines are going to be able to come in here and take out the spine crawler. A nice transfuse by Vibe, keeping that spine crawler alive for as long as possible, trying to take down the queen. Looks like it does not happen. MGRedground sacrificing a lot of units there, trying to take that queen down. Those great transfuses keeping that spine crawler alive just long enough for Vibe to hold that off. However, Vibe is now down in food in comparison to MGRedground. Still no expansion, but that's completely okay, as he is getting all of these production facilities. As soon as he takes a new expansion, he will be able to drop all the mules there and get a booming economy. There's the SCV now headed out to that 3rd base, possibly going to be taking that expansion real soon. And possibly another push. A ton of Marines. 1 siege tank with siege mode is complete. Combat shield is on the way, and the Terran infantry weapons level 1. Great job by MGRedground. Always expand as you push out. Looks like the attack will be headed into the center, and will also catch those mutas out of position. 6jax.VIBE not paying attention, losing a bunch of those mutas. That is not a good position to be in. He's got not too many units down here. Seashank is sieging up, and the Zerglings are trying to go for that flank. The single Baneling coming forward. Oh, taking out all of those Marines. The medevacs are going to have to escape out of here. Another Seashank is late to the party. MGRedground is probably going to lose that Seashank. It looks like it will be able to range down this queen over here. And MGRedground does lose that tank with just 2 kills on it, mostly Zergling kills. We do have the expansion command center now finishing. How'd that get there, says MGRedground. More Marines popping out. More medevacs, very strong production from Redground as of this point. Both players keeping pace with each other. Probably going to be seeing that expansion taken right here. Looks like this impact going down. Going to be trying to take out this drone over here. Looks like it does go down. Vibe will be able to send his units over to here to take out that one Marine. MGRedground now securing a position over here, trying to get into a nice defensive position. However, a couple of Zerglings will be trying to run by. They are not able to do it. A couple of Marines are at the ready over here at the new expansion, which is now completed as an orbital command. And the fourth base finally getting started by Vibes, now taking a slight food lead at 130 food. It looks like he just fell back down once again. Marines taking control of this expansion as well. Nice siege tank spread, will be able to control all of these expansions. Lots of energy being racked up on these command centers. He needs to throw those mules down as soon as possible. Looks like a couple of mutas are now harassing the backside. A bunch of supply depots over here will probably get taken out. A ton of Marines are going to be forced back in here, as well as the medevacs to try to take care of this. Looks like 2 supply depots will be going down, and possibly another tech lab. Looks like it does force a cancel on one of those missile turrets. The Marines stimming up and chasing the mutas out of here. A bunch more missile turrets are going to be forced to come up for MGRedground. And he is getting Thors now, so he will be able to push out onto the map real soon. A ton of Banelings out in the field for Vibe. MGRedground is mostly content to just sit back for the moment. A couple of missile turrets coming up at this location as well. Still not really spending that energy on his command centers. That's something that he really needs to do as of this point, or his economy is going to fall behind. As sixjax.VIBE is probably looking to take a 5th base real soon and get up the Broodlord Infestor combination. More drones on the way. Burrow upgrade coming up as well. Zerg Flyer attacks level 2 gonna make those mutas even more devastating if they get into a good position, possibly to harass this expansion. The Marines are at the ready. The medevacs possibly need some repair. It looks like it will be, the mutas will be forced to, out of there. And they do have a rain to probably take down one of these tanks, and this tank does quickly go down. However, the Thor getting nice splashes on all of those mutas. Half of the units falling to orange and red. More Thors out on the field for MGRedground. Looks like his tanks have been unsieged and will be creeping across the map right now. 175 food for MGRedground to the near max of 200 food of sixjax.VIBE. However, he's getting a lot of Zerglings. It's a lot of Banelings. If those Sea Shanks get into nice positions, it'll be really difficult to get those Banelings to do all the damage they need to do. Stimpack going down on the Marines. The Banelings taking out all of the Sea Shanks, and the Marines trying to micro back, but a nice defense by sixjax.VIBE, crushing the Terran army in the center of the map. The medevacs also going to get taken out by those Mutalisks. It's going to be really difficult for MGRedground to actually take any additional bases as of this point. Since Vibe does have the superior Ling count, he will be able to attack into all of these locations and clean any expansions that do decide to come up. The mutas are also going to be able to keep control of many different locations on the map. Looks like the Terran army will be taking control of this watchtower. The Mutaflock is now headed into the main of MGRedground. Looks like they're going to take a break over here. Going to be able to take out a couple of these missile turrets. A lone Marine is joining the fray here. It looks like a bunch of SCVs have been pulled off the line to possibly repair that missile turret. It looks like the missile turret will get repaired, but it does go down. There are way too many Mutalisks. A bunch of SCVs will be falling here. A ton of supply depots are also going to be damaged, and the main Zerg army is now headed into the main. Into the battle, and 16 SCVs killed so far by Vibe. Looks like one supply depot does burn down. 5th base is up for Vibe. Going to be able to send some drones over to there to mine. Greater Spire is also almost complete as well. Infantry weapons level 3 on the way. The mutas are going to be scooting into the corner. Wouldn't mind to see him continue to harass over here. There's not too many Marines, and the mutas do have 2-0 upgrades. There are a bunch of SCVs here that are also vulnerable. There's only one missile turret. Looks like the mutas are going to continue to chill in the back. I guess that's the theme of the mutas this time, and the adrenal glands on the way for those Zerglings will give them plus 20% damage. Also, the flyer attacks level 3, melee attacks level 3 on the way. Third base is up, a couple of missile turrets in position. Looks like the mutas will be able to come in here and do some harassment. A ton of mules over here. We'll see if they're able to heal up that missile turret quickly enough. Looks like they are able to. A bunch of Marines also reinforcing this location. The Zerg army is now getting into position over here. They're actually funneling themselves straight into the Sea Shank line. So this is not a good position for VIBE. Look at the Sea Shank line. It goes so far. All the Marines remained untouched. So the Terran army is now on a par with sixjax.VIBE's army. Broodlords now on the way. 36 Lings coming up. A bunch of Banelings now burrowed in the center of the map. Those Marines are going to be in a ton of trouble. Does VIBE notice? Looks like he decides not to do the unburrow on all of those Marines. The Broodlords are out on the field, but the ground support is not too much. There's a ton of Banelings being morphed right now. 52 Zerglings being made by VIBE. We'll see if this is able to take down this Terran army. There's a lot of Sea Shanks here. There's more Marines reinforcing. Still those Banelings in the back. VIBE just continuously checking them to see if he can actually blow up the entire Terran army. The Marines running forward. They do see the Broodlords. However, Vikings are out on the field right now. There's only two more on the way. The Broodlords are going to be advancing over there, throwing down the Broodlings, going to force the Terran army to siege on itself. The Vikings now advancing over here will be trying to take out a couple of those Broodlords. There's not too much in terms of anti-air here for VIBE. So he's only got this one Infestor that can throw down the fungal growth. Looks like the Broodlords will get taken out over here. There's no anti-air at all. That one Infestor not actually doing too much. A couple of Sea Shanks getting too far ahead of themselves. Redground actually taking out a bunch of units over here just with those Vikings. The Corruptors do spawn, and they will be able to clean this up. The mutas also returning, and more Broodlords being morphed by VIBE. MGRedground bringing more units in here, throwing down a bunch of mules to actually repair his tanks, not trying to bring any SCVs over here. VIBE gonna be selecting his units once again. More drones being transferred out. And VIBE here looking at a pretty strong position. He just needs additional Infestors out into the field, and he will be able to do tons of damage. The flyer attacks level 3 now finishing up. The Broodlords advancing forward. They will be able to do 26 damage with those Broodlings, in addition to the damage dealt by the Broodlings after they get out onto the ground. The Mules healing every single tank over here. The Marines, where are they? They're hanging out over here behind the tanks. Redground now getting another command center, getting an additional Thor out onto the field, more Marines and tanks. Plus 2 infantry armor is about to finish. Marines are now at 3-1, and VIBE going to be loading up a Nidus network. We'll see where this decides to pop out. Looks like there it is coming up for VIBE, and it looks like MGRedground can actually see it, but there's not much he can actually do about this. Zerglings all popping out here, going to be able to damage this SCV line severely, going to be able to kill off nearly every single SCV. The Marines stimming and running back, the Broodlords advancing over here, and the Vikings also getting taken out very quickly by those Corruptors. Looks like this Viking does manage to survive, and here come the Zerglings and the Banelings going to be rolling forward. Thor coming over here as well. VIBE is going to be able to crush through this Terran army. MGRedground doing a valiant job of trying to hold that off, but the Zergling counterattack over here, taking out a ton of SCVs. Additional Zerglings and Banelings rolling in here. A single Sea Shank going to be trying to hold the line along with those 2 Vikings. Redground falling to 67 food. And GG out of Redground. There's not much he can do against the Broodlord. Broodlord Zergling Corruptor composition. There's not even Infestors out on the field. MGRedground doing a great job in this game, but VIBE with the superior unit composition in the end of this game was able to take it. A huge thank you to Mobility Gaming for sending me this replay. Of course, I do accept replays at AegisStarcraft2. at gmail.com. Please send me replays over there if you see anything that's interesting, and if I see a good game, I will decide to cast it and put it up on my channel. I cast a lot of the games blind, so if I cast it and see that the game is bad, I probably won't put it up. And Vibe, good game to Vibe, and this is Aegis signing off.